Good afternoon. I don't think it's much of a secret that I look forward to the opportunity to talk with you every fall about the state of our university. With every passing year, my conviction of the immense importance of what we do here grows. It is truly noble work we do at UNC, not because of the things we're getting done, but because of what happens here, the life-changing experience our students have. Creating opportunities for students to experience transformative education is at the center of everything we do. When I think about it that way, it's inevitable that I remain an unreconstructed optimist. That's why when people ask me how things are going at UNC, I tell them the absolute truth. Everything we can control is going great, and we try not to dwell on the rest of it. That doesn't mean we are ignoring the challenges that we face. I've been talking about, and we've been responding to, serious and permanent changes that affect UNC for the 12+ years that I've been your president. Two constants throughout my presidency have been change and challenge. I'm sure you know that a team from the Higher Learning Commission will visit campus in March to evaluate UNC and make a recommendation about our continuing institutional accreditation. I know that many of you have invested tremendous effort in our self-study process. Thank you. If you want to feel good about what's happening on our campus, just stop and think about how far we have come and how much we have overcome since our last self-study 10 years ago. We are celebrating UNC's 125th birthday this year, and without question, change and challenge have been constants throughout our history. I am proud of the fact that we have refused to become a passive victim of circumstance. Many things have changed in the past 125 years. Our name, our buildings, our programs, and of course, our people. But we have always prided ourselves on providing students with the opportunity for a transformative education. The essence of what we do has not changed, even though the way we go about it has changed and must continue to change. Resilience and optimism are part of UNC's DNA. We see and understand the unvarnished truth of the changed world around us, and we are responding. That truth involves three major factors: the imperative for us to educate more people, the need to respond to hard questions about the value of higher education, and vastly increased competition. Factor one. What is the imperative for us to educate more people? According to the Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce, our economy will create 55 million new job openings over the next decade. 37 million of those 55 million new job openings, 65%, will require at least some post-secondary education or training. The center projects that by the year 2020, 35% of jobs will require at least a bachelor's degree, and the demand will be even higher in some states like Colorado. We as a nation and as a state are not educating enough students to meet the growing needs for college graduates and graduates with advanced degrees. But we know that it's not just about numbers of credentials. It's about preparing students for their entire lives, for work, for community, for responsible citizenship. When I talk with employers, I hear over and over again about their need for critical thinkers with the ability to adapt and grow. In a 2012 national survey of employers who hire recent college graduates, half of the employers said they have trouble finding qualified candidates. The survey was a joint effort by the Chronicle of Higher Education and Public Radio's Marketplace. When they asked the employers about skills they needed most and skills candidates were lacking, the greatest gaps were in written and oral communication skills, adaptability and managing multiple priorities, and making decisions and problem solving. Clearly, graduates educated in the liberal arts tradition, one that we have always embraced here at UNC, are essential to addressing the need for more educated citizens. Factor 2, the hard questions about the value of higher education have emerged because of its escalating price and students' declining ability to pay. Over the past 12 years, as all of us here at UNC are painfully aware, we have been through 2 major national economic downturns that resulted in sharp reductions to our state funding. We will receive $37 million from the state this year, the same amount as in 1999. In 1999, that funded almost 40% of our budget. This year, it funds about 21%. 67% of our budget this year, $121 million, will be funded with tuition, fees, and room and board charges paid for by our students. Even with our efforts to hold down costs and our board's focus on financial aid and affordable pricing, we have had little choice but to more than double tuition and fees over the past 10 years. For a few years, increases in federal need-based Pell funding moderated the effects of tuition increases for our neediest students, but the buying power of Pell has been declining since 2010. This has made UNC-funded financial aid all the more critical for these students. We will invest almost $16 million in institutional undergraduate financial aid this year, 8 times as much as 10 years ago. As public funding for higher education, state and federal, declines, students must take out more loans to go to college. UNC undergraduates who take out a loan and earn their degree in 4 years have an average debt load of almost $24,000. If it takes them 5 years to graduate, the average debt load increases to more than $28,000. It's no mystery why people are asking hard questions about the value of higher education, because they want to know that our students are making a worthwhile investment. We must deliver on our commitment to students in order to ensure that their investment in a UNC education is one that will pay a lifetime of dividends. Factor 3, vastly increased competition. Nationally, the number of students graduating from high school has leveled off after more than a decade of growth. Graduates are also less academically and financially prepared for college than in the past. Although the sheer number of people going to college continues to grow, the pace of that growth has slowed. From 2001 to 2011, the enrollment at degree-granting institutions grew 32%. But growth over the next 10 years is projected to be just 14%. The fastest growth has been and will continue to be in students who are 25 and older, and graduate enrollment is projected to grow faster than undergraduate enrollment. The changing profile of college students means we must educate a more diverse population than ever, in every sense of the word. With that diversity comes a broad range of needs, interests, and expectations. Recent high school graduates are digital natives whose use of technology and social media is changing how they learn. Non-traditional students are often looking for a balance among quality, convenience, and affordability. Many working adults are seeking professional development to keep up with the changing expectations of the job market. And then there are emerging populations of potential students, such as degree completers. 31 million people in this country have completed some college, including 4 million of those who have at least 2 full years of undergraduate credit. As the pool of prospective students becomes more diverse, the marketplace has responded with a dizzying array of options. The number of higher education providers, the range of programs, and the means for students to access those programs have expanded dramatically over the past few years. There are now at least 38 recognized higher education providers operating in Colorado, a mix of public, private, nonprofit, and for-profit entities that are offering programs in face-to-face, online, hybrid, and experimental formats. Not all of these are our direct competitors, but it is crucial that we differentiate UNC in this competitive and noisy marketplace. None of these factors, the need to educate more people, hard questions, and competition, have caught us by surprise. We began to see what this future would look like more than a decade ago, and we are working together to respond. But responding to a change of this magnitude is an ongoing process, not an event. There is no point in that process at which we get to go back to the way things used to be. We must truly change, and this cannot be imposed from the top down. We, as a university community, have to transform how we operate, and this does take time and commitment. We have been working for many years to move from an annual budget process that just focused on state-funded operations to a multi-year financial planning process that includes all of our operations, regardless of revenue source, and budgets for things the state no longer reliably funds, such as capital. But it was really only in 2009, when we began to develop our 9 core plans, that we successfully connected budgeting to multi-year planning. We started building a university reserve to smooth out the year-to-year volatility in funding due to fluctuations in state support, enrollment, and other external factors. As you know, because you did much of the work, we built the reserve by identifying sustainable and one-time cost savings, and by truing up hundreds of budgets to reflect what we actually intended to spend, and moving cash balances to the reserve. Those of you who have heard Michelle and Robin's presentation about the revenue river are familiar with this process. Our goal at the time was to avoid drastic, unsustainable measures such as layoffs and across-the-board cuts in case there was a catastrophic drop in state funding. We were fortunate. We did not have to use the reserve for the anticipated state fiscal cliff. We have instead been able to make critical investments in our people because you are at the heart of delivering on our promise to students. We are deliberately investing in academic quality, in our faculty, and in their research. Through innovation at UNC, the RFP process I announced here last year, we are investing in innovative ideas to launch new academic programs, reach new student populations, develop and test new pedagogies, and improve how we support students. We're investing in strengthening our support for students with things like need-based financial aid and the Student Success Collaborative, the online data-driven advising platform we piloted last spring. We're also investing in externally focused functions like marketing and fundraising to help us respond to the increased competition. These investments are necessary, but they are not sufficient. We must grow revenue, and that is not a matter of simply raising tuition. The reserve has allowed us to make investments targeted at building our capacity to generate revenue. We are also using it to cover some of our operating expenses until our investments begin to pay off. By definition, reserve spending is not sustainable. It is simply a transition strategy while we develop our revenue-generating capacity. We have to get our revenue line and our expenditure line moving along the same path before the reserve is spent. There are only 3 ways to do this: grow revenue, cut expenditures, or do some combination of both. I've said many times that we cannot cut our way to greatness. That's not to say we won't be scrutinizing every expenditure. There undoubtedly are some expenses that can and should be cut, and we will do that as we continue our efforts to identify cost savings. But that alone will not get us where we need to be. UNC's fiscal sustainability hinges on enrollment growth, such as growth in graduate programs through our extended campus and here in Greeley, growth in our number of new freshmen and transfers every fall, and growth in the number of students persisting to graduation. You may recall the fundamental question driving the launch of innovation at UNC last fall was, what can we do differently so we reach more students and so more of our students succeed? This same question shapes our enrollment strategy. The direction UNC must take in order to grow enrollment is increasingly clear. I want to share with you now the broad outlines of our enrollment and revenue growth strategy and call upon you to be part of a campus-wide effort to flesh out the details and bring them to fruition. Our growth strategy has 5 critical targets. Number 1, grow enrollment to over 15,000 students by fall 2018. Number 2, increase the proportion of graduate students in our total enrollment from 20% to 25% by fall 2018. Number 3, increase the average year-to-year undergraduate persistence rate by 2 percentage points to 83% by fall 2018. Number 4, identify at least $2.4 million in new sustainable cost savings by the end of fiscal year 2018. And number 5, pursue funding to break ground on the campus commons in the summer of 2016 and complete the second of 2 construction phases by the end of 2018. Meeting these targets requires a 2-pronged approach. First, we must respond to the increasing demand for graduate programs, particularly by serving the needs of growing populations such as students who are 25 and older, working adults, and degree completers. We have started down this path already. Our recent growth in graduate programs reflects the national growth in master's programs, particularly in professional programs that move students towards specific career goals. Of the 787 graduate degrees UNC awarded in 2012-13, 88% were master's or specialist degrees. In a survey of those same UNC graduates, 45% said they earned their degree simply to enter their chosen field, and 15% were earning a degree in order to change fields. A significant number of those students were employed while they attended UNC, and 25% continued in the same job after graduation. We attract students like these not only with high-quality programs, but also by offering online, hybrid, and low residency options that allow students the flexibility to continue working while earning a degree. Being responsive to the needs of students like these is a critical factor in growing our graduate enrollment. We must continue to identify areas for targeted growth in existing graduate programs, considering quality, demand, capacity, and costs. And we must expand our graduate portfolio with programs that reflect our mission and identity, to offer new courses of study and non-degree programs that respond to emerging needs and interests of students. Second, we must reassert UNC's position in the undergraduate market. The principles that already underlie our undergraduate enrollment philosophy are sound. A dual focus on access and success, a commitment to diversity, and a responsibility to admit students who have a reasonable chance to succeed at UNC. We're deploying targeted marketing campaigns. We're making substantial investments in both need-based financial aid and scholarships for high-performing students. We're supporting faculty-led initiatives to redesign courses using more technology and hands-on learning opportunities to engage students. In spite of these efforts, it's no secret that as the competition intensifies, we have been losing traditional undergraduate market share. It is more urgent than ever that we differentiate UNC among the growing array of education providers that are competing for the attention of a diminishing number of high school graduates. We must create clear paths to UNC by building pipelines from community colleges, by strengthening our relationships with high schools, and by developing partnerships with other institutions. We must become even more sophisticated at targeting our marketing and recruitment efforts. We must be able to communicate what is truly unique about UNC. We know we have something special here, but time and time again, students tell us they had no idea until they set foot on our campus. And we must fully integrate our student support efforts to increase the number of students who persist and graduate. We have bedrock foundations on which to build. We offer students opportunities to learn from accomplished teacher scholars, to collaborate with renowned researchers, to design and complete fieldwork that prepares them for whatever path they have chosen. We understand what it takes to cultivate the unique potential of each and every student. And UNC is filled with people who are absolutely committed to students. We aren't just doing our jobs. We labor in service to a far greater purpose. But we, as an institution, have long relied upon the cumulative effect of our good intentions to connect students with opportunities, to help them solve problems, and to provide the support they need to graduate. We have had a wealth of good intentions, but a deficit in attention to the details necessary to ensure we offer every student the customized support he or she deserves. Imagine what a difference we could make if we didn't leave these things to chance. If the moment students arrived at UNC, we guided them, each and every one, to start thinking about an individual path to graduation. If we connected them with opportunities to explore new ideas that might alter that path. If we identified a place to go with questions and problems, any question, any problem, no need to know which office does what. And imagine if all of these things happened in a single place at the heart of campus. This and much more is what will happen in the campus commons. We have talked for many years about having a building at the heart of campus that truly exemplifies who we are. And we have finally got it right. Our work on the 9 core plans clarified the purpose and the functions of that building. And we started developing a program plan last January. You may have attended one of the open houses with our architects or seen the graffiti boards at the UC that we used to collect feedback last semester. The campus commons is a revolutionary concept. because reasserting UNC's position in the marketplace requires something revolutionary. The campus commons will house a reimagined core of integrated student support functions that not only promote degree completion, but also give every student the opportunity to customize his or her UNC education. The Commons will also create dynamic new space for academic programs, and it will serve as a welcoming campus entry point where we can share UNC's story with prospective students, alumni, and community. These three major functions are intentionally interrelated. First, the Commons reinvents the traditional approach to student support. It will bring together critical support functions to help students navigate their way to graduation and connect them with opportunities for transformative learning. With a single conversation, students will be able to access a full range of opportunities, from transactional to transformative. Frontline staff will be cross-trained to provide a breadth of assistance on topics such as financial aid and registration, and they will ensure that every student has the opportunity for intentional conversations about things such as academic advising, international study, community and civic engagement, career preparation, and transition from college to career. The Commons will offer students a higher level of support and guidance with greater integration than at any other university in Colorado. Encouraging students to think about customizing their educational experience from the moment they set foot on campus, and supporting them in mapping out a path tailored to their individual needs and interests will be a powerful differentiator for UNC. Second, the Commons is about even more than integrating our student support efforts. For as long as we have been thinking about a building to support students, at least 15 years, we have also been thinking about how to address the needs of our world-class performing arts program. That we have managed to maintain our reputation as a peerless program in spite of our ancient facilities is a testament to the devotion of our faculty to excellence. Our students literally rehearse in hallways and give performances in classrooms, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, is a competitive disadvantage in the recruitment and retention. The Commons will include a 600-seat performance venue and an art gallery, which will not only address the curricular needs of our arts programs, but also draw visitors to the Commons, which is related to its third function as a gateway. Rather than thinking about student support space and performing arts space as separate priorities and projects, we have integrated them in a space that also addresses our need for a distinctive, welcoming gateway to campus. The Commons will create public space which draws people together and facilitates connections among a diversity of people and functions. It will be the starting point for all types of campus visitors and will give us an opportunity to share UNC's story while showcasing accomplishments of our students, faculty, and alumni. As the starting place for campus tours and home to our admissions counselors and new student orientation, the Commons will also be the place where we welcome prospective students and their families. The Campus Commons is designed to be complementary to and work in tandem with the University Center. It will sit immediately south of the UC and will be built in 2 phases. The total projected cost, $74 million, which we are working to fund from 3 sources. We are requesting urgently $40 million over 2 years from the state, seeking $10 million in gifts from donors, and will issue $24 million in bonds supported by a student capital fee. We have a strong case for prioritization among state funding requests because the Commons is designed around supporting the success and degree attainment of an increasingly diverse population of students, which is the primary goal of the state master plan for higher education. Ultimately, the Campus Commons is about realizing our collective potential. It is about building on our strengths as a research university that engages each student as a unique individual. It is about placing academic success at the heart of our campus and making it the focal point for all of our student support. It is about educating the students who will be the future of our state and our nation and telling our story in a visible, tangible way that elevates UNC above the rest. It's not just about the building. It's about what happens in the building, the connections, the sense of place, the message about what makes UNC unique. So, how do we get there from here? We do have to work out the details for meeting those 5 critical growth targets. And then we have to execute on those details and meet or exceed those targets. Every one of us has a role in making that happen. This is time to literally think globally and act locally. You know where we're going. How can your unit help us get there? How can we reach more students? Is there unmet demand for your academic program? How do we engage in an increasingly diverse student body even before the Commons is complete? Do you have ideas for the next round of innovation at UNC? Where can we be more efficient? Where can we cut costs? How does your daily work help get us where we want to be? Of course, we want to coordinate all these efforts, but this work requires our collective and individual action. I have great confidence that we will succeed because of the individuals across our campus. And I further believe that it is the remarkable assembly of talented and passionate individuals at UNC who will elevate our university to be genuinely, radically distinctive. Thank you.